YouTubers, Barry here. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. I will probably post this one late, just like I did last week. Although this week I have some footage, so I'm not going to post like a quick webcam video. I am not drinking a homebrew now. I just got home from work. I got off work, left work an hour early because of this, which I'll talk about in a second. I'm drinking my favorite summer beer, or my favorite Pilsner, currently my current favorite craft brewed Pilsner, which is the Firestone Walker Pivo Pils. It's like a hoppy Pilsner. This is it's on the cusp of being 6 months old, but the aroma still has such a nice hop, like beautiful Pilsner hop character, even months and months later after being bottled at the end of January of this year. It's a beautiful beer. It's a beautiful afterwork summer beer. I don't know how that nice, grassy, citrusy hop character has lasted this long, but it's awesome. I have to go buy more. I've just been so focused on home brewing that I've had a 6-pack last me forever. But it hasn't been since the end of January, but it was already a few months old when I bought it, but it's still been a while since I got the 6-pack. I think this is the 5th out of 6 bottles. Anyway, so before I have to put this in the fridge, luckily, you know, this is Saison yeast from my Saison, which I'll go over the recipe in a second on my phone Beersmith app. But this is from a new company, which is an offshoot of White Labs, where they produce their strains and propagate them at White Labs in San Diego, California. This is from the Yeast Bay. I found out about this one from Dan ABA, so cheers to him. He recently used their Wallonian Saison yeast and said it was awesome and recommended that I try it. So when I looked at the profile information of the Wallonian yeast, it didn't really seem, it seemed like it had more fruitiness, and that's not what I'm going for the Saison because of the recipe. But I'll tell you in a minute. So I got the regular Saison blend. It's a blend of two complementing strains to give all those spicy, funky, slightly tart Saison characters that you would normally get. So I'm gonna go ahead and just to show you a nice little close-up of the label. Maybe I'll post a picture later, also somewhere in the video. But this is what it looks like, and as you can see, it says it's from White Labs. I don't know if the camera will focus on that, but I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the fridge, and I'll be right back. Alright, BrewTuber, so I'll just put the yeast in the fridge. I'm gonna go here on my phone and go with my trusty Beersmith. So what I'm thinking of doing is, because I'm splitting, my plans are, as I think I said last week, is I'm splitting the batch like 2.5 gallons, 2.5 to 3 gallons between 2 3-gallon better bottles, and putting one with Brett and apricot and dried apricots after a primary. I thought I'd try to scale up the recipe to 5.5 gallons. I realized, if I correct my boil off rate with this batch, not collect close to 8 gallons for a 5-gallon batch, like I have been doing, so either way, like I've been normally doing, filling up my 6-gallon better bottle really full, it wouldn't matter as much to brew a 5.5-gallon batch, especially when my starter is going to be less than 2 liters. It might be like 1.25 liters. I'll have to check, but Beersmith only recommended like 1.1 liters, so I'm just going to up it a tiny bit, but it's not going to be a full 2 liters. So with 5.5 gallons of wort in there, and less, a little more than 1/4 of a gallon, it should be, and leave just enough headspace with my 5/16 thick blow-off tube. Even if I come home to a mess, I can always clean it up like I did with a black IPA. I start the temperature in my fridge at my fermentation fridge at about between 69 and 70, between 68 and 70 or 69 and 71, something in that range, give or take. And then slowly up it. And the good thing about me, I don't think I'll have to use like a heat blanket or anything, because I do keep a couple windows in my New York City apartment open throughout the day, just so when I come in it's not so stuffy, but it's still pretty hot. So when I do raise the temp over time to the mid to high 70s, like you would do for a saison to dry it out, then it shouldn't have a problem raising the temp, because it gets pretty hot in the apartment. Either way, because we don't have central AC, we just have window units that aren't on throughout most of the day. One area of concern though is that sometimes when you do Brett, you would leave some residual sugars for the Brett, residual malt sugars to have the Brett eat. So I might have to add some like candy sugar or something along with the dried apricots. But the dried apricots have a lot of sugar in them, because when you dry it out, the sugar is condensed within the dried fruit. And I know that Russian River uses dried fruit, so I'll probably ask around, maybe buy a pound of candy sugar at Bitter Nesters tonight, which is Wednesday night, which is why I'm not gonna have time to edit this. I'm filming this Wednesday afternoon, but I'll ask questions there and online on the forums, or ask Danny ABA or other people, other brew tubers, and then go from there to see what to do, because I want to bottle half the batch to enjoy over the summer. Even though I might only get maybe 20 bottles, at least my wife and I, maybe some friends, will be able to enjoy, what it tastes like beforehand, and maybe I'll save 2 or 3 bottles to compare to the Brett version later on. And also my homebrew club, New York City Homebrewers Guild, is holding a summer beer competition, in which you have to give them in at the August meeting. So if I'm brewing at the beginning of July, excuse me, then it'll definitely be fermented out by the end of July, hopefully, and then I'll bottle it, and by mid-August, when I have to give it in, it should be ready. If it's not, maybe I'll give in my triple, even though, because you could drink high ABV Belgian beers, especially triples during the summer, but it's still pretty hot alcohol-wise. It really needs to age for another couple months to really be perfect, but we'll see. But I definitely want to start, participating in the club competitions that happen every couple months, and I haven't done it yet, so I want to, give, one of my 2 Belgian beers, hopefully the saison, into that competition. One clip I do have to show you is I hooked up. I bought a few months ago a submersible pond pump to circulate cold water, ice water, to chill down, my wort after the boil. I'll probably just use regular sink water, tap water as a pre-chiller, and then do the ice water after that to get it the rest of the way down. But my tap water isn't so warm yet, even though it's been really hot here. But I just, I'd rather not, it take an hour or 45 minutes to cool wort down and waste a ton of water. If I can buy a couple bags of ice and have the water running through, my wort chiller, back into the ice bath. So I set it up without ice, but I set up, the water, set it up in a bucket, with the pump and the PVC pipe I put in, so that I can put ice and it wouldn't knock the tube off. Because when I opened up the box and I looked at it again when I was trying to set it up, I realized it doesn't have the ground hose connection, so I had to finagle it. So you'll see that in the clip where I was able to take some extra CPVC fittings and a small piece of CPVC pipe and tubing, or whatever you want to call it, rig it up, stick my tube for my chiller in there, and then have it work. So if I just keep the ice not too much above where it would knock out the tube, it should be fine. So here's that clip, and we'll be back. Hey brew tubers, here for Homebrew Wednesday, or possibly also a quick tip in under 5 minutes for my channel. I took this advice from a bunch of other home brewers. I know Joe from Belcher Brewing, or Pat's Fan, also has a wort chilling method like I just put it together, which I'll show you in a second, with the pump and the wort chiller. I know Puka NC also does this. So what I did was, I got a little nervous. I didn't have the fitting, but I bought a $20 submersible pond pump from on Amazon, and I'll show you it in a second. Actually, I could take it out. Probably be a better idea. Okay, so just to look at it better. So what I did was, I had leftover fittings from my PVC manifold for my mash tun. So what I did was, I found that it was a 1/2 inch fitting, and I didn't have a metal one. So I know I had leftover PVC parts from the inside of my mash tun, as I said. So what I did was, I connected one of the two male parts to the bottom, to the inside fitting, which is 1/2 inch. Then a little part, which I might end up shortening once I talk to a few people and see if I need to. And then another female part and another male part. So, and then I stick this hose into there, and the water comes back through there and goes through the wort chiller and back into the bucket. So let's rig it. I'll show you me rigging it back up. So the good thing about having the long piece of PVC is that I don't need to put the pump in first. I could just put it at the bottom, push down on the PVC pipe, or CPVC I should say, then make sure that this end, which usually goes to the sink, goes into the water, and then I can go over here and plug in the plug once again, and as you see here, the water is coming out, is going through there, in through here and through the mash tun and out through this hose. I don't know if I could change the flow rate, just because it's not going as smoothly as I would like it. Like, you know, you can't really speed up, I should say, the flow rate on the pump. I don't know if pushing the hose down farther will speed up the flow rate. I'll have to play with it a little bit, but you know, that's just my setup. And since I'm brewing soon, you know, I wanted to make sure that this method works. You know, so when I have an ice bath, you know, I can it'll actually work. And I'll have to do more tests with an ice bath because, you know, with ice in the way, the hose might be pushed out of the PVC, so I might have to actually buy a fitting at the homebrew shop this week before I brew, so that, you know, I don't run into any trouble. But for now, it should be pretty good, as long as, you know, the ice doesn't come up far enough to knock the hose out. Hey BrewTubers, so I did not end up filming at Bitter Nesters at the bottle share just because things got fun and, you know, just talking to people. So I'll just give you a quick recap. I know this episode of Homebrew Wednesday is going to be pretty long, so it was really good. I brought with me 2 bottles of my Self-Righteous Wookiee Black IPA, or SJ Pour 2014 beer, one of which was one of the last 5 bottles. I don't know if you remember, where I put like a silver X with my silver Sharpie on to make sure that I didn't open them, you know, unless I was home or over a sink. I accidentally brought one, and the condensation that built up in the bottle from being in the fridge and then out of the fridge quickly, and brought to Brooklyn from uptown Manhattan, kind of erased the X. So when I tried to open the bottle, it gushed everywhere. So luckily, a few people tried the first bottle I brought. They liked it. And also, I brought 2 bottles of my porter and ESB, the 2 1-gallon all-grain batches, because I hadn't tried a bottle in over a month, and I wanted to see where it was. And they were pretty good. Got some good critique, and then now I know, what to change. Change the yeast maybe a little, ferment at a better temperature, or maybe tweak the malts. But overall, people really like both, so I'm on the right track with those. But I said earlier I might film milling the grains, but you've all seen that. So I'm just going to show you now quickly my haul of what I bought there, and then shoot you back to the conclusion to this week's Homebrew Wednesday. So as you see here, I have the bag of milled grains here on my catch-all dining room table. I have my bag of grains here. Then my Brett Brooks or WLP 650. So Brett Brooksalensis. And then, which I had them put aside for me because I just got more Brett and I wanted to make sure to got it. And then I bought, let me see, from this box, a twin pack or 2 3-gallon better bottles. I have to see how they fit in my fermentation chamber, but I'm not going to ferment a Brett one next to a not Brett one just in case. But because Brett is more forgiving for temp. That probably won't keep it, in a temperature controlled environment. But once I split the batch. And I did, as I told you about in the beginning of this video, decide to up the amount of grains to 5.5 gallons. So make sure that I have enough to split between these 2 better bottles, and and so at the end when I split it, it'll be I have a little more beer to split, with the whatever yeast trub get to the bottom, my 6-gallon better bottle primary. And then I also bought a 5,000 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask, so, because as you guys know, I brew a lot of big beers, and it'll be good to have that space. I did not buy the bigger sized stir bar, because I first want to check, how 1-inch one does, and plus the stir plate. When I bought it, I recommended not using a bigger one. So maybe I'll do some testing on my own / looking on the forums, and we'll see what happens if I want to buy the 1.5-inch or 2-inch stir bar. And last but not least, I bought another hydrometer because I've been suspect that my current one, which is pretty old because the newer one I brought when I first got my new equipment, broke accidentally, as glass implements tend to do sometimes. So I bought a brand new one at Better and Esther's, just so I can check both side by side and see where I stand. But one last antidote that I should mention is that one of the beers I did try at the bottle share was a non-home brewer's beer, or a beer that wasn't brewed by a home brewer that was actually there. Was the beer an IPA brewed when John Palmer actually was here, and he was in New York for the weekend, the same weekend that I interviewed him for my blog on my YouTube channel. He brewed a beer there at Bitter and Esther's, an IPA, and I got to try it. And they tweaked the water, as would be suspected for John Palmer now with his putting more emphasis on water chemistry. And they added some dry hops in the keg. And Doug from Bitter and Esther's, the other owner, he said that they added a lot, mostly English hops, but then they used Citra, and the Citra, with all those water chemistry adjustments, the Citra, usually tastes a little citrusy, a little stone fruit, but this IPA with those adjustments tasted like really ripe peach. Really ripe, sweet, amazing apricot. It was mind-blowing. So next time I use Citra, maybe I'll try to find out what water adjustments they did. If I use a Citra Forward IPA, I'll definitely try to tweak my water a little bit just to get that really ripe peach, balanced bitterness, amazing tasting Citra Forward or stone fruit forward for that matter, because it was peach and apricot forward. You know, IPA flavor. It was awesome. So, you know, if you guys, you know, have opportunity to participate in your local club, homebrew clubs or homebrew shops, bottle shares, definitely recommend it. Alright, so now back to Homebrew Wednesday. Cheers. Another thing winding this down, that I thought I'd have the chance to film and edit the water video about testing New York City water yesterday, Tuesday, but I ended up not having time. And the best lighting is in my apartment filming is during the day, like early to mid afternoon, and because I'm going to the bottle share and I have to leave my apartment in like 40 minutes, I'm not gonna have time after filming this. I'm not gonna have time to finish it this week, unless I, you know, film it Friday or Thursday, right when I get home from work, and then post it sometime, edit it over the weekend, and post it next week. But for my saison, you know, I really don't want to mess things up. So I probably, you know, will use my pH meter for the first time to take the mash pH, and maybe buy a couple things that would adjust mash pH, like up, raise it, and lower it, just in case I need to. But I don't really think I will need to, as long as it's within a good range. Because New York City water is pretty neutral or soft anyway, so it wouldn't be too extreme. So yeah, but you know, that's about it. And I'm looking forward to, you know, brewing my saison this coming Sunday, July 6th. And next week's Homebrew Wednesday will most likely be, you know, as long as I can get it edited on time, the brew day footage from that. And I have 2 SJ Pour beers, you know, left to drink and review, as you know, as of this time, Wednesday afternoon when I'm filming this. I have received some really good scores on my Wookie Jack, and I really think cheers to my Northeastern brewers for really giving it, you know, good scores, despite the fact that, you know, maybe the gypsum, my mash out problems, and, you know, the fact that I probably should have added another flavoring hop addition, you know, took away from the hop character. But I'm really been blown away by the ratings I've been getting so far. And, you know, even if I move on to the next round, if I don't get to the international round, you know, the fact that I brewed a recipe for the first time and people liked it, and I got, you know, I was, you know, one of the top 3 of the 9 Northeastern brewers, is definitely a good tick in my hat as a home brewer, to see that no matter if I mess up, I still came back, managed to brew a decent, good home brew, a decently tasty home brew, and share it with, you know, 9 to 10 people. So cheers, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Oh, I know this is gonna be a long video, but you know, just wanted to give you guys a nice quality episode, because I don't post that often, or as often as I would like, you know. And I look forward to watching your videos. Cheers.